Safety joints give your toys movement so they can move their heads, their arms and their legs, and it also means that the toys can sit very well unaided, like so. Toy safety plastic movable joints come in a variety of sizes. For the Knit a Teddy teddies, I would recommend using 45mm joints for the head and legs and 35mm joints for the arms. The safety joints are made up of 3 pieces comprising the round disc with the ridged stem, the washer and the locking disc. If you are using plastic toy safety eyes, I would recommend adding these before making up the teddy. So as you can see, I've joined the seam from the nose to the chin and also the seam from the back of the head to roughly this point here. So then what you need to do is insert the joint like so. So that simply fits in there. And I would recommend lining the joint up with the increase row here, as that's quite a good position for it to be in. And then you simply need to continue joining this seam. So using the shortcut mattress stitch, I'll just pick up the yarn here, go back into this stitch like so, pull tightly to secure the joint, and then back into here, and pull the yarn very securely and firmly so that that joint is held firmly in place. And then you just need to continue sewing the rest of the seam like so. I have neatly finished off the seam, and as you can see, the joint is very secure and it is roughly in line with the increase row here, like so. The next thing we need to do is to sew a running stitch along the cast on edge of the body. So using the cast on tail end of yarn, you need to sew a running stitch all the way along the top of the cast on edge, like so. I have sewn the running stitch along the cast on edge, and then you need to draw this up tightly like so, so that you create a tiny little hole at the top. And then once you've done that, you simply need to secure this by sewing along the seam. So I have secured the hole by sewing along the back of the seam just for about 2 to 3 centimeters, like so. The next thing you need to do is just check that the head joint will fit through the hole, like so. Okay, and then you're ready to place the washer inside. So you simply take the washer, place it inside like so, so that the hole of the washer lines up with the hole of the knitting. Then place the head joint through the hole of the knitting and the hole of the washer. And then once you've done that, you simply need to attach the lock. Now, the lock has a flat edge and a raised edge. So the raised edge faces towards you, and the flat edge is the edge that goes against the washer. So once you're happy with the positioning of the joint, you simply push the lock on top of the washer, and then with some force, I will have to pop it on the table at this point, you need to attach the lock like so. Now once that lock is on, there's no taking it off, so you have to be quite confident that you're happy with what you're doing. So it's important that you push the lock on quite firmly, but also you want to be able to move the head, so you don't want to do it too firmly that you then can't twist the head. I have attached the head, and now the next joint we're going to insert is the arm joint. So here we have the back seam, and on the side of the body there are 4 increase stitches in a row. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the arm joint is positioned between stitches 3 and 4 as shown by this marker thread. The next thing you need to do is to prepare the arm piece for the washer. So firstly, I have attached the seam from the bottom of the hand just to about this point here. Now the next thing you need to do is to, using the cast on tail, is to sew a running stitch all the way along the edge here to the first marker, and then across to the second marker to join those two pieces together, and then continue the running stitch up the other side like so. So I've sewed my running stitch just along this edge to this point here, and now I'm just going to continue with the running stitch from this side over to my other marker like so, and then that running stitch I will then continue all the way up to the top, at which point I can then remove the mark stitches. So I've sewed the running stitch all the way along the edge, and at this point now I'm going to pull tightly to once again draw the knitting in to make a little circle, and then you simply need to secure that circle by taking the yarn along and just sewing along this seam to about this point here. I have secured the hole by sewing down the seam, and at this point it's really important that you have the correct arm for the correct side of the body, because the majority of my patterns come with a left arm and a right arm, so it's very important that you put in the correct arm to the correct side of the body. So at this point you simply need to insert the toy safety joint, push in the rigid stem through the hole like so, and then just smoothing the knitting against the disc. You then need to insert the stem through the knitting at the marked position like so. At this point you can then remove the marker, and you then need to simply attach firstly the washer, and then the locking disc, pushing quite firmly like so. Next we need to attach the legs, so we need to prepare the top of the leg to hold the washer. So you need to, once you finish the leg, you need to break the yarn, thread a sewing needle, and then thread the needle through the stitches like so. And then pull the yarn through the stitches. Carefully don't get a knot. Typical. There we go. So, and then you need to once again do a running stitch along this edge to the marker, and then across to the marker on the other side, and then back up. So as you can see, I have sewn a running stitch along this edge here, across, and then back up to the top, and then it's just a case of pulling this stitch like so to create a hole. And then once again you just need to secure this hole by taking the yarn back through and then sewing down this seam here. I have secured the hole by sewing down the seam, and now you need to insert a 45mm joint like so. Once again pushing the ridged stem through the hole and smoothing the knitting against the disc. On the body of my teddies there are 2 rows of 4 decrease stitches on the left and the right side, and the joint for the leg is inserted in the middle of the bottom row of these decrease stitches. So you would have 2 decrease stitches to the right of the joint and 2 decrease stitches to the left. So then you simply need to insert the stem into the marked position like so. However, as the stem of a 45mm joint is quite big, it might take some persuading to actually push it through the knitting like so. And once you've inserted the stem, you can remove the marker like so, and then you simply need to attach the washer and the locking disc. So firstly the washer, making sure that the knitting behind the washer is nice and smooth, and then the locking disc, once again pushing quite firmly to ensure that the disc is well attached, but also that the leg is able to move freely. So once you've attached all the joints, you can then do the fun bit, which is adding the stuff in. So I would recommend starting with the arms, so stuff both the arms, then the legs, and finally the body. So what you need to do is, just with very small amounts of stuffing at a time, is simply place the stuffing inside and make a point of really pushing that stuffing around the plastic joint to shape it. And then once you've finished stuffing, you just simply need to sew the seams. I have now sewn all the seams like so. I have added the ears, and now all this polar bear needs is an outfit. And here she is wearing the ballerina knit a teddy outfit, and as you can see, movable joints does mean that doing pirouettes are so much easier.